So the last thing I did want to talk about is the structure of these command factory calls. And we're going to do it using the run command as an example. So when you issue a run command, you'll do commands.run, and then you'll have two things in here. The first part is called a runnable, and the second part are the requirements. So the requirements are which subsystems does this command use. That part I hope is pretty clear. Like that, if I want this command to run, it needs this command or this subsystem, this whatever. So if I've got one command that uses the elevator subsystem and the drive subsystem, I would have to list both of those here. The interesting part is the runnable. And the runnable is an idea from what we call functional programming. In object-oriented programming, we model the program as a bunch of things that interact with each other, right? A runnable is a function. It's a method that you can pass around to different things. And the way I like to think about it is a package, right? If I were to write this line of code, we'll say drive, we'll say that's forward and that's right. If I were to write this line of code, this says right now, drive full forward, full right. So you get a diagonal, right? This is a different chunk of code. Now they look very similar, right? They both have this, and they both have this. But remember, this one says drive right now. This does not say that. Doesn't even say that. So this, whenever you see this shape is what's called a runnable. Another term you'll hear it called is a lambda expression. And you can think about it like a package, just like a package from UPS or the post office or FedEx. And what it is saying is, this is a function, but it's not a function that is being run. It is a function that I can give to some other part of the code to be run later. And so this line right here doesn't say drive at full forward, full right. This says, hey, here's a function that when you call it, will let you drive full forward, full right. It's not going to right now, but if you were to call the function, that's what it would do. So if you're looking at the code that we wrote, this line right here, line 25, that's saying, hey, drive at these speeds. But looking here, it's wrapped in a runnable. So it's not actually running that code right now. It's saying, hey, here's a package for you. When you run this code later, you're going to pull out these speeds from the joystick, and then you're going to tell the robot to drive those speeds. And so what it's doing is it's putting that logic into the package, into the runnable, and then it's stuffing the runnable into a command. So that later on, when WPI says, oh, I got a command here. What does this command tell me? Oh, this command is telling me how to drive the robot. Hey, I'm going to run this runnable, and then it's going to do that code. So the command tells it, okay, what's the behavior of this? How is it supposed to act? Is it supposed to, run one time? Is it supposed to run continuously? Is it supposed to run 3 commands in a row? How's it supposed to act? Once you get past that level, the next level is this runnable. And the runnable is saying, okay, hey, call me. I'm a function. I will do the thing the command wants you to do, but you have to call me. And then inside the runnable is the code that will eventually run. So that's why this code doesn't run just that one time right away. It only runs later on when that command gets picked up. So that when you were to write a command that gets issued by a trigger, right, the command doesn't run just because you wrote the code. The command runs later when the trigger happens, because all this is doing is packaging up some logic into a box that some other part of the program can use later. So that's the idea here, is that the syntax looks a little intimidating and it's a little messy. But when you remember, hey, this is just trying to write a function that I can use later and not a function that gets called right now. It's the difference between drive 1-1 and opening, closing parentheses, arrow, curly brace, drive 1-1, curly brace. This code runs when you write it. This code runs when something calls it later, because it's a package, right? It's meant for somebody else to open and use. So that's our kind of overview of command-based. There's a lot more to it, but this gets you a good 90-95% of the pieces that you would need to get going on that. Any questions about this idea of runnables? Again, you shouldn't be doing too much with runnables. Again, what you see in the code that we wrote tonight, this is about as much as you need to know about runnables, for the time being at least.